Hello everyone, I am Zainab, your physics educator at Study Room. So today we are going to start with a new chapter called Chemical Effects of Electric Current. Now in this chapter we are going to learn about different chemical effects of electric current. What is electric current? How is it produced? We are going to learn about LED. We are going to have a look on good conductors of electricity and bad conductors of electricity. We are also going to learn in detail about effects of electric current. Also, we'll have an insight on what is electroplating and what is the procedure of it. So let's get started. Now, what is electricity? Electricity is a form of energy resulting from the existence of charged particles, which is very important. It is because of these charged particles, electricity is conducted. Now, what are these charged particles? These charged particles are electrons or protons. So electricity is the flow of electrons. We can say that electricity is the flow of electrons. So suppose if this is a wire, in this, when electrons flow, then electricity is generated. Very simple. Let's move on. Now, why is it dangerous to touch an electrical appliance with wet hands? You must have been often told that don't touch any switch or any electrical appliance with wet hands. So now why is this? This is because that water is a good conductor of electricity. So if water is present on our hands and if we touch the electrical appliance, the electric current from the electrical appliance can reach our hands through the water which is in between. So we can say that because water is a good conductor of electricity, this is why we can experience an electrical shock. So it's for our safety. Correct? Let's move on. What are good conductors of electricity? Materials which allow electric current to pass through them are good conductors of electricity. They allow the electric current to pass through them easily. Now, what are examples of good conductors of electricity? Some of those are copper, silver, and aluminium. Correct? Even gold is a good conductor of electricity. So we can easily remember the examples of good conductors of electricity: copper, silver, and aluminium. Correct? Let's move on. Now, poor conductors of electricity. Contrary to the good conductors, there are some poor conductors of electricity which do not allow the electric current to pass through it. So, materials which do not allow electric current to pass through them easily are poor conductors of electricity. Now, what are the examples of poor conductors? The examples are rubber, plastic, wood. They do not conduct electricity. So, what are the examples again? Rubber, plastic, and wood. Correct? Let's move on. Now, how the tester helped us in deciding whether the material is a good conductor or a poor conductor of electricity. Now, in your lower classes, you must have built a tester. So, how was that tester able to decide if a material is a good conductor or a poor conductor? So, can you recall it? Suppose if this is a tester. and these are the two ends of it. And suppose a bulb is glowing here. Now, if we place a material in between, and if the bulb glows, then we say that it's a good conductor of electricity. And if the bulb doesn't glow, it is a poor conductor of electricity. Correct? Now, do not experiment with the electric supply from the mains or a generator or an inverter. Use only electric cell for all these activities. When we are performing these activities, which includes the tester, we should always take care that we should not use the electric supply from the mains. We should always use electric cells for these kinds of activities. Correct? Let's move on. Now let's see this activity to check the working of the tester. You take the tester and in between you place the bulb and connect the two ends of the tester to the bulb. Now this is called a closed circuit. Now the bulb will glow, and in the open circuit, when one end is not connected, the bulb will not glow. That means we can conclude that our tester is working and we can use it to test the various kinds of liquid. Okay. Now, do liquids conduct electricity? Let's have a look. When the liquid between the two ends of the tester allow the electric current to pass, the circuit of the tester becomes complete. The current flows through it and the bulb glows. So when the electric current flows here, the bulb will glow. Correct? Let's move on. Now, when the liquid does not allow the electric current to pass, the circuit of the tester is not complete. That means it will get broken because of that material, which is a poor conductor of electricity, and the bulb will not glow. Correct. So if we can say that if the liquid is a poor conductor of electricity, then the bulb will not grow and the bulb will not glow and the tester will be incomplete. Correct. Now let's move on. Now let's perform this activity to see if the lemon juice is a good conductor of electricity or not. Now what do? You take a plastic cup from the discarded bottles and you fill some lemon juice or vinegar in it. Now you dip the two ends of the tester in it. Now, one thing you take care about is that the two ends should not be very far away from each other. But also you should take care that they are not touching each other. Now in this activity, you will see that the lemon juice conducts electricity, but the bulb does not glow. So lemon juice conducts electricity but does not conduct it as easily as the metal. That's why the bulb does not glow and the lemon juice is considered as poor conductor of electricity. Very simple. Let's move on. Now, why does the bulb glow when the electric current passes through it? What is the reason that it glows? Now, current has a property called heating. Whenever electric current passes through a wire, we see that heating is produced in it. So, due to the heating effect of electric current, the filament of the bulb, there is a filament present in the bulb. So the filament of the bulb gets heated to a high temperature and it starts glowing. However, if the current through a circuit is too weak, then the filament does not get heated because the temperature doesn't rise and that's why it doesn't glow. Correct? Let's move on. Now, can we make another tester which can detect a weak current? Now let's have a look there. Electric current produces a magnetic effect. Along with heating effect, electric current also produces magnetic effect. Now, compass needle kept nearby. When current flows in a wire, the deflection of the magnetic needle can be seen even if the current is small. So, what do? You place a magnet near a wire which is carrying current. Now, whenever the current passes through the wire, you see that there is certain kind of deflection in the compass. So that's why we can say that electric current produces a magnetic effect. Now, what is LED? The full form for LED is light emitting diode. It is called light emitting diode. Now, this LED is a semiconductor light source that emits light when current flows through it. Now, the main advantage of LED is that LED glows even when a weak electric current flows through it. So now there are two wires attached to an LED. One lead is slightly longer than the other. Suppose this is the LED. Then one end will be slightly longer than the other one. Now, while connecting to a circuit, the longer lead is always connected to the positive terminal. That means if this is the LED, in that the longer lead will always be connected to the positive terminal and the shorter lead is connected to the negative terminal of the battery. So when the LED is connected in the circuit, this is how it has to be placed. Let's move on. Now, did you know when the free end of the tester do not touch each other, there is an air gap between them? Now, this air is a poor conductor of electricity. Always remember that air is a poor conductor of electricity. Now, if air is indeed a poor conductor of electricity, then how during lightning an electric current passes through the air? We have always seen that or even heard the lightning. So what do we see is that electric current passes through the air even when we know that air is a poor conductor of electricity. So how does this happen? The answer to this question is that air also has some electrons present in it, but the number is very small. And under certain conditions, even the poor conductors become good conductor of electricity. That means it can conduct in certain conditions. Now, the question is asked, why is it preferable to classifying materials as good conductors and poor conductors instead of classifying them as conductors and insulators? So the answer to this question would be that because under certain conditions, if we provide certain conditions and if the materials are exposed to those certain conditions, most materials can conduct. That is, the poor conductors then become good conductors. Clear? Now let's perform this activity to see if the distilled water is a good conductor of electricity or a poor conductor of electricity. Now what do? You take a plastic cup and fill 2 tablespoons of distilled water in it and you connect it in with the source of electric power. Now what will you observe is that the bulb will not glow. The bulb will not glow, proving that the distilled water is a poor conductor of electricity. Also, now what do? That you add a pinch of salt in that distilled water. Now, if you connect it to a source of electric power, you'll observe that the bulb is glowing. That means the water is conducting electricity. So from this we can conclude that when salt is dissolved in distilled water, we obtain salt solution. This is a conductor of electricity, because what happens here, that when we add salt to the water, there is a presence of free ions in the water. Now this free ions enables the water to conduct electricity through it. So the conclusion is that distilled water is a poor conductor, while the salt solution is a good conductor of electricity. Correct? Now, conduction of electricity through tap water. Now, what happens is that the water from the sources, such as taps, hand pumps, wells, and ponds, from where we get the water supply, contains several salts in it. There are certain kinds of salts present in it. So, small amounts of mineral salts are naturally present in it. The water is thus a good conductor of electricity. As we saw in the activity earlier, when salt is added to distilled water, it becomes a good conductor of electricity. Similarly, the case is here. Now, on the other hand, distilled water is free of salts and therefore a poor conductor. Correct? Did you know that small amounts of these mineral salts present naturally in the water are beneficial for the human health? But, however, these salts make water a good conductor. So, we should never handle electrical appliances with wet hands or while standing on wet floor. That is for your safety, because it is dangerous, as water is a good conductor of electricity. Correct? So this was all for this video. In this video, we learned about electricity. What is electricity? What are good conductors of electricity and what are bad conductors of electricity? We also saw some examples. Correct? Now we'll connect next time on study room. Till then, thank you. So this was all for this video. We'll connect next time on study room. In the next video, we are going to see the effects of electric currents and electroplating. Till then, thank you and see you next time.